Evolution. We learned about evolution, and here's some representative picture of how we are evolved. Well, do we have real evidence of evolution? This is a relatively recent post-Ekans picture. This is the picture of 30 years ago post-Ekans. Well, only 30 years ago, but they look quite different, isn't it? Here is another picture of Korean peoples of another 30 years ago. 30 years is just one generation, but that one generation make they look really different. Here is another 30 years ago Korean people's picture. Now you may think this is a totally different country's people. Well, only several generations can make their appearance and also the characters. It's looking like very, very different. This is maybe one small evidence that evolution really exists. Also, it's still ongoing. Evolution is a study of life forms change, responding to environment to adapt into new environment. Here is a scientist named Lamarck, and he proposed the use and disuse inheritance. Utilizing this hypothesis, he tried to explain the long neck character of a giraffe. If the giraffe tries to reach very high and high out of the tree to reach the leaves, then that efforts make the giraffe's neck longer, and then that longer neck character can be transferred to the next generations. Charles Darwin suggested another hypothesis. There may be some generation of diversity, short neck and long neck of giraffe, and through competition, short neck disappeared and long neck giraffe survived. Among these two hypotheses, we have learned that Charles Darwin was right and Lamarck was wrong. Then, how could diversity generated? Well, one way is the genotype can be changed by mutation. If mutation happens, the genotype is changed. So if the DNA sequence is changed, possibly the protein sequence also can be changed. Among those proteins, if one protein is contributing positively to the host cell's survival, then the gene which code that protein has a better chance to be selected and survive. So two main factors for evolution is diverse generation, maybe through mutations, and following selections of fittest. Then this cycle make the better fitter have a better chance to survive. This is the mechanism of evolution. Now, how can we accelerate evolution? If the mutation speed is not fast enough, maybe we can provide UV or X-ray kind of a very high energy of the light, then the random mutation rate can be increased. Or sexual recombination. This is a much faster mechanism than point mutations. By this recombination, we can generate a lot more diverse other offsprings. As a human has 23 pairs of chromosomes, when we make the sperm cell and egg cell, we can choose randomly one set of those information, and then those combination number is huge. That's how even from the same parents, the siblings has all different kind of characters. Between parents and children, the connection is one edge, and the identity is sharing 50%, either through father side or mother side. Between child and the grandparents, there are two edges. So that's why the genetic identity is diluted half by half. So two edges make a 25% identity. So that's why the edge number is n. then the genetic identity is 1 over 2 to the n kind of number of genetic identity they can have. How about between siblings? Siblings, they share those genetic information through father, and it makes the two edges, then it should be 25%. But at the same time, they have the same mother, then through mother connections, also 25% of genetic identity. Altogether, it's a sum of 25% make the 50% of genetic identity. This is from common parent effect. Following the diversity generation, the next step is the selection. If there is severe natural pressure for surviving, then it can accelerate the selection process. Eventually, it can accelerate the evolution. That's why the crisis is an opportunity for dominance. Now let's think about the unit of evolution. What is evolved? You may think that's a species. Well, you may have heard the name of the book written by Charles Darwin, Origin of a Species. Is a species is evolved? How about small group of a family is evolved? Or even I'm very unique, so individual is evolved? Well, all of them may be possible, but there is a very interesting idea that maybe the unit of evolution is just a single gene. We define the gene is the information to make protein. How about this gene is the unit? This interesting idea was presented by Richard Dawkins in his million-seller book, The Selfish Gene. This book has a very interesting contents, and another interesting point is this book was originally published in 1970s, almost a half a century ago. Well, still, the contents of this book is still enlightening at this moment. So I strongly recommend you to read this book by yourself.